Welcome to the Creativity Expansion Series, Creative Thinking. So, what is creative thinking? This is a common terminology used to describe the process through which innovation comes to life. Now, that doesn't really do much to explain how it works though. So, what steps can we take to think more creatively? This video will outline a few different methods to thinking creatively and give you a better understanding of how it works and why you should use it. Creative thinking means to generate new and useful thoughts, namely ideas, but also relating to concepts and perspectives. First, we'll talk about ideas. How do we make highly original ideas? Well, ideas come from your mind. Therefore, the more knowledge and information you have up there will allow you to draw from a bigger pool of resources. A great example is having several different skills at which you're proficient. Reading books is a really great idea. And having thoughtful discussions with others is really helpful too. I've always been a fan of philosophy because it makes you wonder about things. Although it's commonly criticized, I believe philosophy is a valuable tool that can be used to generate new and useful ideas. It just gets you thinking. I like to think of the mind as a toolbox. Your knowledge and information are the tools, and the more tools you have, the more stuff you can build. I like this analogy because it's easy to understand. Now, creative thinking is partly about the first half of coming up with ideas to work from, but putting them together is a whole other can of worms in itself. Now, I should mention at this stage about the true definition of creativity, which is the process by which we generate new and useful ideas. So, how does putting them together have anything to do with that? It means that when you have 100 ideas to choose from, it becomes much easier to find new ways of combining them, or at least you'll have more options. So rightly, when you're coming up with ideas trying to create original ones, you should first get as many ideas onto paper as possible. That way, when you go to combine them, you've got way more variety and a more diverse list of options to choose from. 20 ideas, for example, could potentially result in over 380 different combinations, whereas 100 ideas could potentially result in almost 10,000 different combinations. I think you can see the exponential opportunity here. Original ideas come together when something clicks with something else that hasn't been combined before. I remember asking a group of young people aged 8 to 10, since we're humans, a lot of our food are animals. If you had to combine any food and any animal, what would it be? A little girl blurted out abruptly, "Bumblebee popsicles." Oh my god, my heart. Now, bumblebee popsicles are probably not a hit right out of the gates, but think of some of the resulting thoughts that come from that. What about adding honey to popsicles, or honey-flavored popsicles? Probably delicious, right? See, that new, original, and delicious idea came from bumblebee popsicles. So, there you have a good idea from what was generally a bad one to begin with. Combining your ideas is kind of like following a recipe. You have to have the right amount of uniqueness and appropriateness to make it innovative. Kids are particularly good at providing highly novel ideas, but they aren't always practical, as you probably heard in my last example. Creating useful ideas is the other half of the battle. That's why having so many to begin with is extremely helpful. When you're trying to create useful ideas, it's really beneficial to understand the context of what you're doing or the problem you're trying to solve after you have your ideas jotted down. For example, asking yourself questions like, what resources are available? What is the desired outcome? What is the root of the problem that I'm solving? Are there any restrictions or limitations to consider? These are all extremely helpful questions to ask during your idea generation process, but you should do it after you have all your ideas on paper. If you start to refine the context of your ideas, you'll be left with only the most relevant ones, and you won't have any room for outrageous or adventurous things to come in. This is the textbook definition of thinking inside the box. So, creative thinking is a lot of stuff, but it comes down to this. The divergent process, which is getting all your ideas together, like diving into your toolbox and seeing what tools and resources you can think of, and the convergent process, which is where you combine or converge your ideas to make something useful. So I'm going to conclude this creative thinking video with 7 proven methods to create highly original ideas, and hopefully you put them into action and start making awesome ideas. Number 1, collaborate. Work with other people, especially people with different skill sets than you, and I think you'll see the results are pretty outstanding. I've used this method multiple times to achieve incredible things, and it was directly in relation to the group of people that we had and the skills that they brought to the table. I highly recommend this. Number 2, learn new skills. It never hurts to be a professional at one thing and just do that one thing really well. In fact, this is great when you're working with other groups of people because it allows you to add more from your perspective. But learning new skills just means that you're going to have more resources to draw from in the bigger picture of making new ideas. So, I recommend that you try to learn a new skill at least 5 times a year, 6 times a year. If you're feeling adventurous, you could even try to learn a new skill every month. Either way, the more you know, the better. Number 3, expand your vocabulary. Vocabulary is just another way of saying all the words that you know. Having a big vocabulary doesn't necessarily make you a pretentious jerk. In fact, it gives you more to draw from when you're trying to communicate your ideas. Vocabulary is partly about language, but it's more about communication in this sense. Having a bigger vocabulary allows you to clearly communicate your ideas because you have more words to draw from. So, grab a word-a-day calendar and try it out. Number 4, network in unfamiliar industries. Now, I know when you hear network, you're probably cringing and saying, I hate going to Christmas parties. And so do I, but what I'm trying to make a point of here is that when you're at an event where there's lots of different types of people who have different types of skills than you, it adds more flavor and more diversity to the experience that can be had. It also adds layers to the level of connectivity that you have with the world around you. Let's say you're friends with an architect, an engineer, an artist, and a photographer. All of those people have different skills from different industries that could potentially add value to your ideas. And so therefore, I think it's a great idea to network in unfamiliar industries because it just adds depth to what is possible. Number 5, travel and explore. This is really important. I grew up in a small town with about 15,000 people. There really wasn't much to our city. It was kind of a transient air-based town. I never really had a chance to learn I shouldn't say I didn't learn a ton. I did learn a ton in my hometown, but it wasn't until I started traveling to new places that I started to see the depth of what was available in the world. Even just in living in Canada, I only have a limited amount of experiences that I can draw from to create new ideas. I've only traveled outside of Canada 3 times, and each time it was only to America, to the United States. Now, that might limit me in a sense of how many countries I've been to, but I've been to over 100 different cities, and each of those cities has a different feel, has a different set of characteristics, and it provides us with a more rich tapestry of experiences to draw from when we're creating new ideas. So get out there, really test your wanderlust. Number 6, keep a journal. Keeping a journal is such a valuable experience, and I say this not only because I have my own journal and my own blog, but because I feel like when you constantly write out your thoughts and your ideas, it allows you to communicate much easier when you're in real life situations. It just allows you to know where you're coming from, where you are now, and where you'd like to go. I think that keeping a journal is a great idea, and if anyone is keeping an art journal, awesome for you. And I'm doing the same thing, so we'll internet high five just now. Number 7, join a mastermind group. This is important. I think anyone who practices a specific skill or has any aspiration to do anything should join a mastermind group. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a brain trust or a group that comes together to talk about ideas. They're also great because they hold you accountable and they help to clarify your thoughts, your goals, and your ideas. Having a mastermind group is such a powerful practice because it allows you to draw from multiple resources in terms of knowledge, in terms of experience, and in terms of skill. So being part of a mastermind group just gives you more resources to draw from when you're trying to get clear on your ideas. I highly recommend this activity. So this concludes the creative thinking video. I hope you found some value here. This free video training series is part of an ongoing mission to provide easy to understand information about the creative process, inspiring creators of all ages to wonder, learn, and grow. If you feel the information provided here is valuable, take a second to share it on your social network. Give it a thumbs up, and leave a comment letting me know what you liked about it. Also, if there's something specific you'd like to learn, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to make a video just for you. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the cool stuff we're going to be discussing. To learn more, visit our website at www.valueofcreativity.com. We'll see you on the next video.